Hey y'all, I'm Shayna and I'm back with another review. This is for Family or Fiance Season 3, Episode 10, even though we had a nice little hiatus from the show. But we're back with Tiffany and Josh, and this is the first married edition. We have a married couple on Family or Fiance. And I enjoyed the episode, but it was rough. So the married couple that we have, they met 10 years ago, and when they met, they exchanged Instagram accounts instead of phone numbers. I don't know why. And they were together for like 5 years. They flew off to Vegas and got married in 2017. So they've been married for an additional 5 years. So they've been together 10 years total. Tiffany said she went and got divorce papers, but she's hoping they don't have to sign them. Like, if you aren't serious about it, you shouldn't even be going to get divorce papers. Like, just do that to throw it in his face. Like, don't do that. But we gonna dig deeper. So in the car on the way to the house, they always got them sitting in that car. It's not the type van no more though. They got the couple sitting in the GMC. So Josh is like visibly sick. Like, he's sweating. He looked like he about to pass out. And he's talking about his stomach hurt. And Tiffany made it about her, talking about every time I'm about to thrive, you get sick. Like, what? He needs to go home. Like, all this stuff out in the air, these viruses, and you hunched over and can't breathe. Like, what is happening? So they get to the house, they do the usual house tour, and then they meet with Tracy, like they always do. And Josh is just sweating bullets, like. And then she look a little hot too, like, why is everybody so hot? But he said he's not feeling well, and she's like, you need to sit up, like, sit straight with your back straight, like he was a child. And it's like, girl, don't nobody care that he slouched over. I'm trying to figure out if y'all need to call an ambulance, is what I'm trying to figure out. So Tiffany said they just he looked like he was about to pass out, and they just kept going like nobody cared. They said we got to film. So Tiffany said their marriage started going downhill when they lost their son, and his name was Legacy. And Josh lost his mom 3 weeks later. Whew. And so Tiffany said their son didn't have any kidneys. So she gave birth at 7 months, and, they held him, and he passed away a few hours later. And I can relate to that trauma because I gave birth to my first child at 5 months, and I held him in my arms. My dad actually was the one who held him when he took his last breath. And so that's a trauma that will live with you forever. Losing a child is no joke. It's not a game. If you're able to have children, that's not something to take lightly. So the following year, she gave birth. They had another child, so they have we call it a rainbow baby when you have a living child after you have one that passed on. Then they had another baby. So now they have a 1 and 2-year-old together. Tiffany also has a 10-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 23-year-old. She look young. I'm like, how old are you? You got what? I wish I would have a 23-year-old and turn around and have a 1-year-old. You couldn't pay me. Josh has a 14-year-old. And it's a lot going on with him and his daughter's relationship. So as he's sitting there looking like he's really about to faint at this point, she's talking about how he don't got no ambition. He just sits in the garage and smokes all day and plays the game. It's giving baby boy. It's giving baby boy. But he was doing all that, and you turned around and had 2 kids with him. Like, what is happening? So Tracy feels like he has anxiety, and that's why, he's sick. I don't know if it's anxiety, if he's making himself sick. Maybe he does this all the time, and that's why she's over it. Like, oh, you always do this. But he looked like he was about to throw up. Like, we need to see what's going on with him. So Tracy tries to talk to Josh, but Tiffany keeps intervening and nagging for him to sit up. And Tracy's like, let him sit there. Like, if he want to sit there slouched over, and let him. So Josh said his brother, sister, and daughter are coming. And I'm like, when they start letting minors come? Normally everybody's over at least 18. Tiffany's mom and 2 of her daughters, her older 2 daughters, are coming. And Tiffany says she wants to hear from the children. You say you want to hear from the children until you hear from the children, and then you really don't want to hear from them. Maybe she want to hear from her children, but she don't want to hear from his. So her family arrives, and the mom was like, they're like oil and water, but they really don't want them to get divorced. Like, they want them to fix their marriage. His sister described their marriage as organized chaos. But again, like everybody wants them to stay together. I mean, they had a lot of trauma going on. Like it seemed like they could make it work, but I don't know. So the family is just they're all concerned about the constant arguing. Like y'all just keep arguing nonstop and y'all let it linger and drag on for days at a time. And that's definitely not healthy if you have a 1 and a 2 year old in the house. So they have to do their task with each other's family, and that's when they discuss their marriage timeline. Josh expressed that, the pain of losing his son and then his mom with all that trauma back to back, it was just too much. Like he felt like when his son passed on, a part of him passed on, and he just cannot, it's like years later and he just can't shake it. Like he's still not able to get over it. He tells her daughters if they divorce, he still wants to be close to them because, he has a strained relationship with his own daughter. That's great that you have a bond with them and you want to be close with them, but why are you not working on your relationship with your biological child? Like that girl is like crying for a relationship and you worrying about her grown adult children. Like you need to worry about your child too. So Maya, his daughter, says that she didn't meet her dad until she was about 8 or 9. And I'm like, what's that about? Why didn't you meet him until you were that old? Maybe that's why it's so hard for him to form a bond with her at this point. But she's 14 now. She was like, he was a stranger when they met. And then she tells Tiffany she feels like her dad just didn't want her or love her. Like she feels like she was a mistake. Hearing all those horrible things like would break anybody's heart, especially a mother, you would think, because this is her stepdaughter. But this is when Tiffany lost me. She blamed Maya, the 14-year-old, for not calling the adult her dad. She said, you don't call him. You should be calling him and it's affecting our marriage. No, he should be calling her. He's the adult. It's not like she's a grown child and she should check on her parent who's an elder. No, she's a child and the adult should be checking in on the child. So, and Maya's just sitting there crying, and she's like steadily blaming her for them having marital issues. Y'all got marital issues because y'all got marital issues. Don't blame Maya. So, after the task, they have brunch, and Maya shared that she felt like she just wasn't wanted. She constantly says, I don't feel like I was wanted. I don't feel loved. I feel like I was a mistake. And that's just so disheartening and sad to hear. Like, no child should be feeling that way. So Josh mentions that, she didn't call him. She don't call him and check on him. She didn't call him on his birthday. She didn't call him on Father's Day. Like, and then he's like, when the baby passed, you didn't check on me. What? When the baby passed, you didn't check on me, the grown person? And I'm like, what do you mean she didn't check on you? Like, that is insane. You should have been checking on her. If she lost a sibling, she has to process that. So Maya's sitting there crying and gets no reaction from him. He don't care. Then Tiffany blames Maya for causing issues in their marriage, and she gets a little teary-eyed, and then he proceeds to console her and hug her and rub her back. I can't even be with a man. If I was with a man and his daughter was sitting up there crying out to him and he's ignoring her, I wouldn't even want to be with the man, let alone have children with him. So the next day, the couple meets with Tracy, and Tracy explains that Maya is hurting. And Tiffany says, we're all hurting. Tracy was like, no, like she's 14. Like, you don't do that as a parent. And the child is saying they hurt, and you talking about, well, I'm hurting too. You don't do that. Ain't no tit for tat. The child is hurting, and rightfully so. She has a legitimate reason to be hurting. So Tiffany pretends like she's taking accountability, in my opinion. But I feel like she really wasn't. But then she proceeds to blame Maya for their marital issues again and tries to explain why. Like, don't nobody care. We don't want to hear it. Maya's a child. And she doesn't seem like a child that's like just like she's just bad. No, she's really just hurt. So Tiffany because Tracy made a statement like, the issues that you're having with Maya is causing you to resent him, your husband. And she's like, I don't resent Maya. And she's like, I know I didn't say that. And she like kept saying it. And it's like, you do have an issue with Maya though. Like, you gotta watch who you have around your children. You can't have somebody who really don't like your child around your child. So she claims she loves her. I don't believe it. And then we find out Maya was 9 when their son passed away. So it's like, you wanted the 9-year-old to call you and reach out to you. Are you crazy? So Josh shares how he felt when Legacy passed, and Tiffany like keeps interrupting, and it's like let him get it out. Like he needs to get it out. He can't heal if he can't express himself and say how he feels, and he's never going to be able to heal. So Tracy has a meeting with a trauma expert. This therapist's name is Dr. Black, and Josh expresses the pain that he felt, and with all of that, those losses back to back, and shares that he just wants the pain to go away. Because she said he makes comments like, "I just want to be with my mom." Who we know is no longer with us. And it's just like, okay, well, he's like, I'm not saying that I want to unalive myself. I'm just saying, like, I want the pain to go away. I don't want to be here anymore. And so the therapist is sharing that Josh is dealing with depression. Clearly, I don't even know how they missed this. He looked depressed when he's just sitting there. He looked sad the whole time when he didn't look sick. So Tiffany starts to feel like she looking like she having a panic attack. And I'm like, nah, girl. What happened to sit back? Keep your shoulders back and all that nonsense she was talking when he was sitting over there going through it. So she states that she feels like she always has to be strong. She got to be strong for the kids, etc. And Dr. Black says, look, the threat of leaving triggers a response of grieving. He's already dealing with grief and grieving, and then you keep threatening to leave is triggering that response from him. So he's not reacting the way you want him to react. Like those tactics aren't working, so stop doing it. So the next day, Josh apologizes to Maya. It was lackluster. And Tiffany should have been out there too, because she the one that kept saying she was affecting their marriage. Like, why would you put that on that child? He gives her like a one arm hug. I've hugged people with more passion at church. So then Tracy is like, look, normally we would do like the blessing ceremony, but since y'all aren't engaged or already married, you're just going to tell everybody what y'all want to do. Of course, they decide to stay married. There's no shock here. Like, they rip up the divorce papers. If y'all coming on the show, then y'all probably already planned on staying married. So the update is they're planning date nights. And Josh is seeking a counselor. Tiffany already has one. If she has one, I don't know what the holdup is for him. He needed it more than she did. And Maya is reaching out more. Maya shouldn't be reaching out more. Like, he should be reaching out too. And I just feel for Maya. Maya needs some counseling as well, because that's a lot. To not even meet your dad till you about 8 or 9, and now he's telling you got to call me. You'd be lucky if you hear from me at all, because I ain't calling you. Because what are you talking about? You're my parents. And clearly you're not involved. So you should be making more of an effort to get involved. But that was the end of that episode. It seems like there's some more episodes coming soon. So definitely don't hesitate to subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.